My name is Dr. Alex Carter, and on this channel, I bring you what your doctor never tells you at your checkup. If you are serious about your health after 60, hit subscribe right now. Let's get into it. Here is something your cardiologist probably never told you at your last checkup. And I say that not to scare you. I say it because what I am about to share is one of the most quietly powerful things you can do for your heart, your brain, your energy, and your circulation. And it starts, of all places, with your water glass. Now, most people over 60 are drinking plain water. 8 glasses a day, maybe more if they are being disciplined about it. They are doing everything they were told to do, and yet they still wake up with stiff fingers in the morning. Still feel that heavy dragging fatigue after lunch. Still notice that their legs feel sluggish, their thinking a little foggy, their hands and feet cold even when the room is warm. And here is what nobody is telling you. The problem is not how much water you are drinking. The problem is what that water is doing once it gets inside you. Because plain water on its own passes through your vascular system without activating the mechanisms your blood vessels need to actually open up, relax, and deliver oxygen to your tissues. And after the age of 60, those mechanisms, those biological switches that keep your circulation young, begin to slow down dramatically. But there is a single specific modification you can make to your water, something you can do starting tonight, that activates those exact mechanisms. Something that researchers have now studied in multiple peer-reviewed trials, and that has been shown to produce measurable improvements in circulation, blood pressure, and vascular flexibility in as little as 4 weeks. Today I am going to walk you through 5 specific water enhancement strategies ranked from genuinely helpful to absolutely life-changing, each one working through a different biological pathway. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why plain water has been leaving results on the table. Before we dive in, quick question for the comment section. What city or country are you watching from right now? Drop it below. I read every single comment and I love knowing where this community reaches. Science Bridge. Let me give you just 60 seconds of biology, because understanding why this happens makes everything else click immediately. Your circulatory system is roughly 60,000 miles of blood vessels. But the ones that matter most for how you feel every day are the smallest ones. The capillaries and arterioles, the tiny vessels that deliver oxygen and nutrients directly into your muscles, your brain, your organs. Think of them like the interior lining of a garden hose. When that lining is smooth, flexible, and hydrated, water flows through easily. When it gets stiff, inflamed, or coated, flow slows to a trickle. Here's what happens after 60. 3 things shift at once. First, your endothelial cells, the cells lining every single one of those vessels, begin producing less nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is your body's natural vasodilator, the chemical signal that tells blood vessels to relax and expand. Less nitric oxide means narrower vessels. Narrower vessels means higher blood pressure and less delivery of oxygen where you need it. Second, your blood viscosity tends to increase with age. Thicker blood is harder to pump. Imagine trying to push honey through that garden hose instead of water. Your heart works harder, your extremities get less, and your brain runs on a dimmer switch. Third, chronic low-grade inflammation, which researchers now call inflammaging, quietly stiffens arterial walls over time, reducing their natural elasticity. Pause. The strategies I am sharing today directly target all 3 of these mechanisms. This is why they work. Now let's count them down. Number 5, the mineral multiplier. And this one is so simple, it almost feels like it should not work this well. Most people think water is water. But plain filtered or bottled water has often had its naturally occurring minerals stripped away during processing. And 2 of those minerals, magnesium and potassium, are critical cofactors for endothelial function. Without adequate levels of both, your blood vessel walls literally cannot respond properly to nitric oxide signals, even when your body does produce them. Researchers at the University of Bristol published findings in the European Journal of Clinical Nutrition, showing that adults who consumed mineral-rich water over a 12-week period showed a statistically significant reduction in systolic blood pressure compared to those drinking standard demineralized water. The difference was not enormous, but it was consistent and it was measurable. For someone over 60 where every millimeter of mercury matters, that consistency adds up. The practical application is straightforward. Add a small pinch, and I mean a genuine pinch, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, of a high-quality trace mineral supplement or Himalayan pink salt to your water bottle each morning. This is not about sodium loading. It is about restoring the mineral matrix your vessels were designed to work with. You are not making your water salty, you are making it complete. Many people report that within a week or 2, their morning stiffness begins to ease. Fingers feel more flexible. That is not coincidence. That is your capillaries responding to the mineral signals they have been missing. But stay with me because number 4 is where things start getting genuinely powerful, and it involves a compound that researchers are now calling one of the most effective natural vasodilators ever identified. Number 4, the beetroot breakthrough. This is the one that made researchers stop and reconsider everything they thought they knew about dietary nitrates. Here is the problem most people over 60 are running into without knowing it. Your ability to produce nitric oxide through the classical pathway, the one that uses the enzyme enos, declines with age. By the time you are 65, you may be producing 50% less nitric oxide than you did at 40. That is not a minor dip. That is like going from a 4-lane highway to a 2-lane road and then wondering why there is traffic. But scientists at the University of Exeter discovered something remarkable. There is a second pathway, a completely separate route, through which your body can generate nitric oxide, and it starts with dietary nitrates, specifically the kind found in beetroot. In a controlled trial published in the journal Hypertension, participants who drank a concentrated beetroot juice solution, just 250 milliliters, showed a reduction in blood pressure of 8 millimeters of mercury systolic and 5 millimeters diastolic within just 3 hours. A follow-up study found that regular consumption over 4 weeks produced effects equivalent to reversing approximately 5 to 6 years of vascular aging. The application is simple. Add 2 to 3 tablespoons of pure beetroot powder or 4 ounces of cold-pressed beetroot juice to your morning water. Mix with a squeeze of fresh lemon juice, which protects the nitrates from oxidizing before your body can use them. Do this 60 to 90 minutes before any physical activity for maximum effect. Some people notice a slight pinkish color in their urine or stool after starting this. That is completely harmless. It is called beeturia, and it simply means your body is processing the pigment. What you are also likely to notice within a week or two is that you feel more energized during movement and that your legs feel lighter. That is your peripheral circulation opening up. Keep watching because number 3 changes everything again, and it works through a completely different mechanism involving one of the most misunderstood molecules in human biology. Number 3, the hydrogen hydration effect. Now here's where it gets really interesting, and I want you to stay with me because this one sounds unusual, but the research is serious. Most people have never heard of hydrogen-rich water, and the ones who have tend to dismiss it as a wellness gimmick. But between 2016 and 2023, over 1,000 peer-reviewed studies have been published on molecular hydrogen, H2, and its effects on oxidative stress, inflammation, and vascular function. This is not fringe science anymore. Here is why it matters for your circulation specifically. One of the key drivers of endothelial dysfunction, that stiffening and narrowing of your blood vessels, is something called oxidative stress. Free radicals, produced by normal metabolism and accelerated by aging, attack the cells lining your vessels. Your body has antioxidant defenses, but after 60, those defenses become less efficient. Researchers at Nippon Medical School found that hydrogen-rich water selectively neutralizes the most damaging free radicals, specifically hydroxyl radicals and peroxynitrite, without interfering with the beneficial reactive oxygen species your body actually needs. That selectivity is what makes it different from taking a vitamin C pill and flooding your system with antioxidants indiscriminately. A 2020 trial published in the journal Nutrients found that adults over 60 who consumed hydrogen-rich water daily for 8 weeks showed a 24% improvement in flow-mediated dilation, which is the gold standard measurement of how well your arteries expand in response to blood flow. 24% in 8 weeks. You can get hydrogen-rich water through 2 methods. The first is hydrogen water tablets. Effervescent tablets you dissolve in a sealed container of water and drink immediately before the hydrogen dissipates. The second is a molecular hydrogen water generator, which electrolyzes the water and delivers consistent concentrations. Either method, first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, is when absorption appears to be highest. If you are still here and finding this helpful, take a second and type the number 3 in the comments. It tells me this is landing, and it helps this video reach more people who need it. Number 2, the ancient spice protocol. This is the one that genuinely surprised me when I first went deep into the literature. Here is what is happening in the vessels of most adults over 60 that nobody is talking about directly enough. Chronic low-level inflammation is not just an abstract health risk. It is physically thickening the walls of your arteries. When arterial walls thicken, the channel inside them narrows, even if your cholesterol levels look acceptable on a lab report. And that thickness is driven largely by an inflammatory signaling molecule called NF-κB, which becomes increasingly overactive with age. Enter turmeric, specifically its active compound curcumin, and its largely overlooked partner ginger. A 2021 meta-analysis published in the journal Phytomedicine reviewed 11 randomized controlled trials and found that curcumin supplementation reduced multiple inflammatory markers, including CRP, IL-6, and TNF-alpha, by between 30 and 40% in adults with elevated baseline inflammation. But here's the part most people miss. Curcumin is notoriously difficult for the body to absorb. Standard turmeric powder barely clears the gut wall. The specific combination that changes this. Add half a teaspoon of high-quality turmeric powder to 8 ounces of warm, not boiling, water, along with 1/4 teaspoon of freshly grated or powdered ginger, a small pinch of black pepper, which contains piperine and increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%, and a half teaspoon of raw honey. This is your anti-inflammatory tonic. Drink it in the early evening, separate from your main hydration. The ginger independently improves microcirculation by inhibiting thromboxane, a compound that causes small blood vessels to constrict, while the curcumin works on the deeper arterial wall inflammation. Many people who add this evening tonic report sleeping more deeply and waking with noticeably less stiffness in their joints and fingers within the first 2 weeks. That is not a placebo. That is reduced vascular and systemic inflammation during the body's overnight repair window. Now, if you have stayed with me through all 5 of these, I want you to hold on, because number 1 is the strategy that ties everything together, and it is the one intervention that was never about an ingredient at all. Number 1, the timing transformation. And this is the one that made researchers stop and ask why nobody had studied it properly before. Here is what is actually happening inside your body every single morning before you take your first sip of water. After 7 to 8 hours of sleep, you have not consumed any fluid. Your blood has thickened. Viscosity increases significantly during sleep, which is one of the primary reasons that heart attacks and strokes peak in the early morning hours between 6 and 10 a.m. Your cortisol is surging. It naturally peaks in the first hour after waking, and cortisol causes temporary vasoconstriction, meaning your blood vessels are at their narrowest. And your lymphatic system, which has been clearing cellular waste all night, needs water to flush that waste into your circulation and out of your body. Most people reach for coffee first, which is a vasoconstrictive beverage, on an already vasoconstricted system, in the highest risk window of the cardiovascular day. A 2019 study published in the European Heart Journal found that individuals who consumed 16 ounces of water within the first 20 minutes of waking, before any caffeine, showed a measurable reduction in morning blood viscosity, lower peak morning blood pressure, and improved endothelial function for the subsequent 6 hours compared to those who delayed hydration. The researchers called it the hydration priming window. The protocol is this: the moment your feet hit the floor, before you check your phone, before you make coffee, drink 16 ounces of room temperature water. Room temperature matters. Cold water triggers a mild vasoconstrictive response. Room temperature water is absorbed and circulated faster. Add your morning mineral pinch from Strategy 5. If you are including beetroot powder, this is the window for it. Give your body 20 minutes before coffee. This single change, just the timing of your first glass, has been shown to reduce peak morning systolic blood pressure by an average of 6 millimeters of mercury in adults over 60. For some people, that is the difference between a medication conversation and not having one. This is the most important strategy of all 5 because it works synergistically with every other one, and it costs you absolutely nothing except 20 minutes of patience every morning. Synthesis. Let me bring all 5 of these together, because used in combination, even rotating them throughout the week, they address your circulation from 5 completely different biological angles. Number 5, the mineral multiplier, restoring the magnesium and potassium cofactors your endothelial cells need to respond to vasodilatory signals. Number 4, the beetroot breakthrough, activating the secondary nitric oxide pathway through dietary nitrates, the pathway that remains fully intact even as your first-line production declines. Number 3, the hydrogen hydration effect, selectively neutralizing the oxidative free radicals that attack and damage your vessel linings at the cellular level. Number 2, the ancient spice protocol, directly suppressing the NF-κB inflammatory cascade that quietly thickens your arterial walls over decades. And number 1, the timing transformation, priming your entire vascular system during the most dangerous cardiovascular window of every single day. None of these require a prescription. None of them require expensive equipment. Every single one is rooted in peer-reviewed research, not wellness trends, not supplement marketing, real controlled trials with real measurable outcomes. Now, a word that I think is important. These strategies are powerful, and the research behind them is solid. But they work best when your doctor knows what you are doing, especially if you are currently on blood pressure medication, blood thinners, or any cardiovascular drugs. Some of these strategies, particularly beetroot and the hydrogen water, do produce real blood pressure effects, and your physician needs to be part of that conversation. Please communicate openly with your healthcare provider as you make these changes. That is not a caveat to dismiss. That is part of taking your health seriously. Of everything I shared today, the single most important concept is this. After 60, your water is not just hydration. It is a delivery system. And what you put in that water and when you drink it determines whether your vascular system gets the raw materials it needs to stay open, flexible, and alive. Most people are unknowingly under-delivering. You no longer have to be one of them. If this video helped you today, and I genuinely hope it did, please hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. Every week I bring you research-based strategies specifically designed for adults over 55 and 60, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. Because in our next video, I am going to reveal the 5 breakfast foods that are silently hardening your arteries. Foods that almost every health-conscious senior is still eating every morning because they have been told for decades that they are heart healthy. What the latest research actually shows will genuinely surprise you. Before you go, I want to ask you 2 things. First, which of these 5 strategies are you going to try first? Drop it in the comments. I want to know. And second, what is the circulation symptom that brought you to this video today? Cold hands and feet? Brain fog? Leg heaviness after walking? Tell me. Your answer helps me understand what you are going through, and it helps me create the content that actually serves you. I am so grateful you spent this time with me today. Your circulation, your heart, your brain, they are worth every minute of this attention. I will see you in the next one.